Welcome to the Contrarians, where we are right and you are wrong. I'm Julio.
And I'm Alex. Here on the show, we rage against the Rotten Tomatoes machine. For the first half of each episode, Contrarians Corner, we trash the fresh red tomatoes and praise the rotten green splotches, making our case any way we can.
The aptly titled Real Talk serves as the second half of each episode. This is where we discuss our true feelings on the movie we're covering. For more information on our podcast and to browse past episodes, you can head over to our website, wearethecontrarians.com.
From there, you can also access our Patreon and merchandise, because capitalism.
If you enjoy our attempts at comedic film discussions, we encourage you to subscribe and leave us a review on whatever podcatcher you use.
If you'd like to reach out to us directly, that's what social media is for. You can find us on most platforms as @ContrarianPrime.
You can also see what we look like if you go to youtube.com/@ContrarianPrime, and you can contact us by email at wearethecontrarians@gmail.com.
I think that covers it.
Then it's time for the podcast. And we are recording for Contrarians Corner for Dogfight.
Hello, and welcome to the Contrarians, where we're right and you're wrong. My name is Alex, joined as always by my co-host. I would make a joke about, like, my soldier in arms, but one, Marines don't joke around about that shit, and two, I think we've gotten all the laughs out of the Vietnam War that we need to, so I'll just say my partner in contrarian crime, Julio. Julio, we are going back, for the movie to 1991, but for the purposes of this movie, the early 60s, as we are here today to discuss Dogfight, a Nancy Savoca film starring River Phoenix. River Phoenix, once again, appearing in Contrarians canon.
Well, this is his main feat debut. Or have we done any other?
That country movie, but that was a patron. That was a Bogdanovich?
That was our final Bogdanovich movie.
That's right.
That's how we close the Bogdanov films, man. And that was, not to get morbid, that was how River Phoenix closed his career, right? Like, that was his last movie.
I believe so. Yes.
Well, this is a little more acclaimed than
yes,
The Thing
Called Love. The Thing Called Love.
Yeah.
And hilariously, I knew I wasn't crazy. I just had to verify this. Anthony Clark was in that movie as well, and he is one of our 4 Marines in our subject du jour. Anthony Clark, of course, of Yes Dear fame, which I'm pretty sure I call out in the episode on The Thing Called Love, or Crazy Thing Called whatever. I
don't know who you're talking about. I thought you were talking about Anthony Edwards. And I was like, I don't remember seeing Anthony Edwards in either movie.
What? Just Google Anthony Clark's name and you'll recognize him right away. But anyway, I'm pretty sure in that Bogdanovich episode, I profess my strong passion and love for the television show Yes Dear, and I will reaffirm that here today. But Julio, why are we discussing Dogfight today?
Well, it was time for Brandon Curtis to throw us another patron pick, and I don't know where he got this movie from. I've never heard him talk about it. As far as I know, he's not what I would call a River Phoenix fan. Maybe he's a Lili Taylor fan. That seems more up his speed. But I don't know. He just said Dogfight. Have fun. And it was so unlike the usual movies he throws our way, because this was just 90 minutes. It was made in America.
It's not Hindi.
Yeah. And it was also, the 90s by now is just, I know we've had this conversation recently, that you can consider them somewhat classics. They're not modern movies anymore. It's been more than 30 years since this movie came out. So officially kind of an oldie, just like us. So Brandon throwing us a curveball. The only thing I knew after he, threw that title at us was that it was a River Phoenix movie and that it was on the Criterion channel. Did you clock that? Did that come up when you were looking for places to stream it?
No, but I did in my research find it has a Criterion release, one of the more recent ones. It's in the 1200s, so I don't know exactly what year that would have been, but that's definitely newer.
Man, that's so random, the way that they just pick movies. I think eventually you would be able to have every River Phoenix movie in the Criterion Collection, because why not?
Man, even like 20 making this movie, I think.
I mean, he looks like a kid.
Yes, he does. He looks like a child. He looks like Jake Lloyd kind of in adolescence in this movie.
If Jake Lloyd had an audition for Star Wars.
He had a hell of a head of hair on him, but here he's got the jar head and the high and tight. But anyway, Brandon Curtis, always random. You can count on him to bring something to the fray that you're not quite expecting. But a movie that was not necessarily widely celebrated at its time, a very, very small box office return. But Julio, what is its current standing on Rotten Tomatoes?
I didn't know that it was not. I don't know why in my mind River Phoenix just did hits. But now that I'm thinking about it, that Bogdanovich movie wasn't a big hit because just by the nature of being a Peter Bogdanovich movie, it means that it probably didn't make its money back. Let's see. The Rotten Tomatoes score for this is 87% fresh with a popcorn meter of 86%. Now, worth noting, this is not certified fresh because it's only 23 reviews from critics. Are you ready to be mean about River Phoenix and Lili Taylor's love story here, or do you need to hear some quotes before that happens to get in the mood?
Well, whatever I do is not going to be more mean-spirited than the initial plot of this movie. So, but yeah, let's hear some quotes first.
It's a beauty. Out fucking standing. I mean, out fucking standing.
Julio, did you get Raj for us?
I did. He's the closer.
Okay.
You got to close with a big name. So, but let's start with the opening acts. I'm going to start with Nick Rogers from Midwest Film Journal, who says, a film about affection for fermatas in time and the artifice of unreliable memory clouding the painful steps that led us there. It's not over, Alex. Dogfight knows the comforts and charades of romance are sometimes the same and doesn't cheat its way to an easy resolution. I had to look up what fermatas meant. It says a film about affection for fermatas in time. And honestly, now that I have the definition here in front of me, I'm not sure what he means. Fermata is a music noun. It says a pause of unspecified length on a note or rest.
Okay.
Okay, Nick.
That review, I'm not criticizing your reading, Julio, because English is your second language, and I think you do wonderfully at it. But that review exhausted me far more than the 90 minutes of this movie did.
Nick Rogers only writes one, maybe two reviews every year. So, he really pours himself into them.
Who's the fucker that wrote Game of Thrones? George R. R. Martin or something? Yeah. He's that, but the reviewer. He sits on something for fucking 17 years.
People waiting for a decade for his Dogfight review.
Bated breath.
All right. Well, I wish I could tell you that was the only pretentious quote here on the docket, but
we're dealing with a Criterion here. Come on.
Yeah. And thus we get to Scott Nye from Battleship Pretension, who says the film operates in a productive push-pull between a sense of nostalgia that's endemic to 60s set films made in the 90s and an active examination of the misogyny and cruelty that gradually ramped up in the seemingly idyllic culture during the 1950s. It's a lot of big words.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought they were saying the misogynistic culture that ramped up in the 50s. Okay. I thought they were mistaken about when this movie happened, but
I guess it started in the 50s, and then by the time that we get to River Phoenix and his body's here, it's just in full bloom.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think that if you ever catch yourself using the word endemic on your film review, maybe just, pause, take a big breath, delete it, find something else. So it's too big of a word for a movie review. Endemic is for like a social studies class, like a paper.
Well, not necessarily movie review, but we're talking about you need like a comprehensive essay to warrant the word endemic, not a fucking blurb on Rotten Tomatoes.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Scott and I, lighten up. It's just a movie. Next, Richard Brody from The New Yorker says, the jolt is in the intricate expressivity Savoca brings to the story, with a repertoire of precise and painterly images that highlight performances of assertive yet graceful physicality.
Brother.
Alex, remember, there's only 23 reviews, so 3 of them already are just overflowing with this type of language. But here comes Roger Ebert to the rescue. Roger Ebert, a movie critic for the people. From the people, for the people. from the Chicago Sun-Times. He says, Dogfight isn't a love story so much as a story about how a young woman helps a confused teenage boy to discover his own better nature.
Okay, take notes, you fuckers. Like, what? That says it all right there.
This is how a professional does it.
That's right.
It's the reason why he was writing for the Chicago Sun-Times. Everybody else is like Joe's Movie Blog and
Ain't it cool?
Ain't it cool news? I'm sure you're familiar with this because it's kind of one of those. It's not an online trope, but more like an online creed, a way of life now. The whole when somebody says they don't have patience, specifically when the minority says they don't have patience to teach somebody who's not woke enough to teach them how to behave properly. That's on you. You need to figure it out. That's what I was thinking of with this Ebert quote. It's like, oh yeah, this is a lovely story of a young woman that teaches River Phoenix how not to be an asshole. And that was the 60s, because in the year 2026, that woman wouldn't have any time for him. She would tell him, like, just go somewhere else. Let somebody else raise you as a human being, because I'm not doing it. I have music to write. I have to be a performer someday. But, Ebert, we'll cut you some slack. If you want to romanticize that, I'll let it go, because that was, according to this page, that was written 26 years ago, which I guess tracks, right? If this movie's from 91?
Yeah, that definitely is.
Yeah, so it must have done it
frame.
later. Yeah. Anyway, those were the quotes, Alex. Let's get in the time machine and go back to the wild 60s.
You break the rules, you're disqualified, and you don't get your Jing back on a goddamn fucking dime. You got that? Do you have anyone to bring to this event, Factor?
Fucking A, I got someone to bring.
How many other Vietnam movies have we done?
Watchmen?
None are coming to mind. Yes, good call.
I know we talk about Forrest Gump on and off, but that's not a movie that we've covered.
Seems like that's destined to be a commentary track, but anyway, hell of a 1-2 punch, Watchmen and Dogfight. The film begins on November 21st of 1963, the day before the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. I did not put that together. Yeah, I did not put the date on that together. Obviously, we circle back to the assassination, but I could have seen that coming, unlike John, if I had pieced that together. Lance Corporal Birdlace and 3 of his Marine buddies have arrived in San Francisco for a 24-hour leave before shipping off to Okinawa, and are planning on attending a dogfight later that evening. A party at which Marines compete to bring the ugliest date, unbeknownst to the girl. After a few women reject his advances, Birdlace ducks into a coffee shop where he encounters Rose, a waitress on her break, practicing her guitar. She's not particularly ugly, but rather plain, shy and awkward. Birdlace attempts to charm Rose and invites her to the party. She is suspicious of his motives, but decides to accept his invitation. So, we need to set the table here. In the beginning, Birdlace is River Phoenix, of course. Lili Taylor, Rose Fenny.
That girl?
Yeah. I was looking over her filmography in preparation for this. Mystic Pizza, Say Anything, Born on the 4th of July. So she had, a good run coming into this. And
more
then,
importantly, though, in recent years, she was Leatherface's mom in that Leatherface prequel.
Well, I was going to circle to that in the 21st century. A lot of her work has come in the form of decent to bad horror movies. Right before the turn of the millennium, she was in that 1999 Haunting. With isn't Liam Neeson in that?
Yeah.
She was in High Fidelity. I can't put a face to her character right now.
She's one of John Cusack's girlfriends. She's the nice one.
I see. But yeah, she's there's a couple of those Exorcist movies she's been at, not The Exorcist, but like movies about witches and hauntings, and The Conjuring, The Nun, as mentioned, for better or worse, Leatherface. And then Fear Street, that series of movies that made its way to Netflix. The Conjuring, Last Rites, which just came out last year. So she's staying busy. But anyway.
Far cry from the artsy-fartsy Adventures of Rose here.
Yes. One of the more memorable performances in this, though, I will say that. And then, Julio, you didn't recognize Anthony Clark from yesteryear, so I take it you weren't familiar with any of River's comrades here?
No, they all looked like dudes. It was like, I guess, well, good job from the casting director. But no, honestly, the shorter, chubbier one looked like he could have been in Grease, like one of Travolta's buddies.
Okay, well, I will have you know, Julio, that is Stan Rothenstein from My Cousin Vinny. He's one of the boys.
God.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Rachel's almost husband and friends. I said this in the My Cousin Vinny episode. Now that you say it, I'm like, it's instant. I'm locked in. I know exactly who you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but that's not Anthony Clark.
No, Mitchell Whitfield. Excuse me. I almost called him Mitchfield Whitfield, but Mitchell Whitfield. Yeah, Anthony Clark. Now I need to know his name from yesteryear. And again, yesteryear, last I checked, still not available for any sort of purchase. On yesteryear, he was Greg. That's his name. Okay, so we've seen enough movies, Julio. We know where this is going to go almost immediately.
Yeah, that is one of my constants throughout this movie. Was like, we all know what's happening. We all know what's going to happen. We all know like everything. Actually, there was one moment towards the end where there was a curveball. And no, it's not the assassination. It's like something else. And we'll get there. But my main thing, Alex, and we've talked about this movie before that I'm about to reference, so I'm sure you had the same feeling. Were you as crestfallen as I was when you realized that Dinner for Schmucks was not an original idea?
Damn it. I was going to clock it how long it took for us to make the Dinner for Schmucks reference, because it seems like that inevitably always comes up.
Inescapable in this case.
It is. Yeah. I mean, there's some jokes from that I cite as very funny. Julio's long-standing rivalry with Lucy Punch. It's all there, man.
The difference is that movie, I mean, it's not a masterpiece, but it's a pleasant enough time. I mean, Paul Rudd, Michael Scott is there being really darky. Like the thing is with Steve Carell, and if you haven't seen Dinner for Schmucks, do yourself a favor, just give it a watch. But you never feel bad in an uncomfortable way, right? Like, I mean, you feel bad, obviously, because it's the same thing that's here with the Dogfight. Oh, we're just going to invite all these people to this party, making them think that they're cool, that we like them, but really we're inviting them so we can make fun of them. And so that's pretty awful. But there is a line, and I think that Dinner for Schmucks doesn't cross it and Dogfight crosses it. There's not, I think that you always feel like Steve Carell he has sort of an upper hand because he's so innocent that he doesn't even notice that people are making fun of him. But here, Rose just doesn't know. And the moment that she finds out, it's devastating. So it's not, I don't know. You just said it. We watch enough movies. We know that there's going to come a point where she finds out. And I was not looking forward to that at all, which means that the entire time, the first like 30 minutes of the movie, before she catches on that they're making fun of her, I was just feeling anxious and uncomfortable, and I was not enjoying myself. Not that I enjoyed myself after either, but in this particular case, the first 30 minutes are just they were a very unpleasant experience because it's just so nasty. The setup and the characters, everything. Am I being too harsh? Where you're like, oh man, Marine's gonna Marine. They're just boys on their last day before they ship out. They just want to have fun.
Pretty intense individuals. It was a different time, Julio.
They yell so much.
They do. And they're always looking for a fight. They find one later. But yeah, I mean, there were so many things I was thinking of immediately. Like there was Grease, obviously. You already mentioned Grease, but the whole thing where Danny's trying to balance keeping up his appearance with his gang, the T-Birds, but also, he's show affection towards Sandy. And then not so much here, but as the movie progressed, I got a lot of spectacular now. So the point remains. Seen it before, know where it's going.
One of the Marine Bros has a Miles Teller vibe. You know what I'm talking about? Like, I think it's Okie.
Yeah, I could see that.
I thought, and this might be more of a real talk point, but I'll bring it up here anyway. I thought Dinner in America, once we got into the second half of the movie.
Sick reference.
Well, because, you know what I mean? Like, because in Dinner in America, he's an asshole and she's very quirky. And here it's kind of the same thing, only, several decades removed. But it's still kind of the same thing. She even gets a musical number later.
This is true. You might be right. You might be onto something there.
Why don't you sing something?
What?
Yeah, sing something like Like that song you sang earlier at the cafe?
I don't know that song very well.
That's okay. I just want to see you up there.
While walking her to the bar where the dogfight is being held, Burlace realizes Rose is not ugly enough to compete and also begins to have second thoughts about playing such a cruel trick on her. He attempts to talk her out of going, but has no choice but to proceed inside when they encounter one of Burlace's buddies and his date. Burlace proceeds to get drunk, presumably feeling guilty. Shortly after, Rose convinces Burlace to dance with her, which he initially resists, as the dance floor is where the dates will be judged. Marcy, the date brought by Burlace's friend Burzin, is declared the winner. In the ladies' room, it is revealed that Marcy is actually a prostitute whom Burzin has hired in violation of the rules. The sanctity of the dogfight compromised here. Cluing Rose into the true nature, because Rose drinks a bit too many Mai Tais, and she's in there throwing up, so she overhears this conversation. Devastated, Rose punches Burlace and angrily lambasts him before storming off. Burlace immediately regrets having treated Rose so cruelly and chases after her. He convinces her to let him buy her dinner and attempt to make it up to her. All right, so first of all, I need to talk about a moment I had here while watching the scene of the fight in the bathroom where Burzin and Marcy are going at it. Marcy, played here by E.G. Daly. Any familiarity, Julio?
Is she related to Carson Daly? Is that where this is going?
No.
Damn it.
I don't know what it was she said, but she's yelling at him. I mean, she's had a very long acting career, but she's done voice work too. And she like yelled something and like strained her voice. Like, yeah, like it was, I could tell. I was like, and I was like, immediately it set off my brain and I was just like, no. And so I looked up her credits of voice acting and she was the fucking voice of Tommy Pickles on Rugrats. I could just tell from the way she strained a word. I don't even remember what it was, but I was like, that sounds just like Tommy Pickles. And lo and behold, 2 and 2 go together. So an insane thing to pull away from this movie that I definitely was not expected going in.
You've leveled up, because one of the running truths in this podcast is that you are pretty good at recognizing voices before the actor is revealed. You're like, oh yeah, of course I heard him on the phone, and I was like, I knew that was Christopher Walken or whatever. Anybody would get Walken, but you get my point. But this is insane. I couldn't tell you how maybe Archer, like Archer's voice, I would recognize. What is it, Benjamin H. Benjamin?
Is it John H. Benjamin?
Yeah, John H. Benjamin. But that's, so specific. Rugrats, I mean, I tip my hat off to you, sir, because that's very impressive. Yeah, I didn't recognize anything here other than, Lily Taylor and River Phoenix. I was just like adrift. A sea of faces from the 60s. I'm just confused. Because, I mean, the strategy, I guess it's like a wartime strategy. You make all the Marines look the same so that, I don't know, they're more impressive when they're attacking. Is that what's happening? all these dudes with like the same haircuts and the little hats and uniforms and like the scummy attitude and that bar. I mean, I couldn't tell like who was making fun of who, because they all looked the same, except for Rachel's almost husband and friends. Now that I've learned that.
Yes, Julio, that is the idea. Everyone looks the same in the military. That's why.
Why is that? So you can't tell when like the sheer number.
Discipline, brother.
Oh, okay. So yeah, faceless, we're stronger. Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't. Maybe. But then, the person that sticks out, it's at a disadvantage. Like, what happens if you're, Barry, that guy?
Mitchell Whitfield.
Yeah. What happens if you're Mitchell Whitfield? I don't care how many tattoos you put on your arm, you're still going to stick out.
To you, maybe. Imagine you just like in a tree with your sniper rifle and be like, holy shit, it's Barry from Friends.
Exactly. Well, now I can't shoot them. How long did it take you to catch on? Just going back a little bit, because I was, maybe because we have the advantage of we watch Dinner with Schmucks, so of course we can catch on what's happening before they even spell it out for us. But somebody in the 90s, in the early 90s, how long do you think that it takes the average 90s audience member to figure out what's happening with this party? because the movie opens and you just see them kind of approaching women, but they're not traditionally attractive women. And in fact, when a traditionally attractive woman comes up to one of them, he rejects her and so on. Like, how long did it take you to figure it out, Alex?
I feel like I put it together pretty quickly because they just like confuse these women. Like, why the fuck is this guy talking to me? And I mean, the way the movie is presented, it wants you to think that these aren't the most attractive women in the world.
Were you surprised when you found out that this was directed by a woman? Like throwing the sisters under the bus?
No, because I mean, the one thing I was happy about was how quickly the ruse is exposed. And all those women are like, you are a bunch of fucking assholes. And then they get what they have coming to them when Brendan Fraser punches them in the face.
Man. The one decent character in this movie besides Lili Taylor.
Again, if you've seen a movie, it all comes together pretty quickly. And you're like, oh, this is what's going to happen. I did not expect him to be smart enough to go and like, I don't know if it's like hot dogs or French fries or something. He goes to bribe the guard dog with, and the dog, being a dog, as soon as it runs out of food, tries to attack him again. I thought that was great. This guard dog, by the way, is basically the moat separating him from Rose's bedroom.
Well, he'll get there in the end because
he does, yeah, and he writes a note that looks like a fucking second grader made it.
Lili Taylor, who had a pretty sweet, strong moment where she punches River Phoenix, tells him that he's an asshole. She really lets him have it, which was awesome. Forgives him like a couple scenes later, and I was really bummed that she didn't make him work harder for it. He writes a note, he climbs up her window, and then that's it. I couldn't believe that she just went and opened the door for him and said, yeah, sure, let's go to dinner. The only condition she puts is that he can't swear anymore. And he didn't even keep that. He's swearing 2 scenes later. I think that's really the part where I was having trouble believing that a woman directed it. Because this is more like a dude's fantasy of how an apology goes. Like, I do something awful, and then I just show up with a sad face, and I say, I'm sorry, can I take you out to dinner? And then you say yes. I'm like, that's not... that's not how it goes. That's not how it should go. Were you disappointed by that? Where you're like, come on, Lili Taylor, make him beg.
It'll just be like a regular date, just 2 regular people on a regular date.
Right.
Yeah, it's pretty quick. I mean, she seemed upset for a second. And I was just like, okay. And then, as the night progresses, he goes to a restaurant that's too nice. So then they have to go to a thrift store where she has to sweet talk the owners to open up so he can buy a blazer and then go back and be a dick to the maitre d' there. And she has to like apologize for him. So, he wins her back quickly, but then it's just he's doing all the things she doesn't want him to and just making a bit of spectacle of himself.
Yeah, I don't think it's mentioned in that. I mean, it's not mentioned in that summary that you were reading, but I think he has a drinking problem and he has an anger management problem, just based on how the movie depicts his mood swings. And I think that the Lili Taylor character, she seems to be smart enough that she should have noticed, but instead she seems to be a little more. It just seems to get her more interested in him than instead of it being red flags that would make her run away. But at this point, Alex, that's when we stop being dinner for schmucks, and now this becomes more of the before sunrise, I guess it would be, because it's like in the middle of the night and they're gonna be up.
Definitely had some before sunrise vibes. And what's the second one? I always forget. Before sunset. Yeah. And then the last one's before midnight, because we talked about this before. The first 2 all take place over the course of one day. The third one, is a vacation.
I thought it was a day too.
Is it?
Yeah, I think it starts really early and it goes all the way till... Because
it starts at the airport where they're dropping off Ethan Hawke's son.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I think then they go to dinner, to lunch, I think. I think it's all one day.
God.
But it definitely...
They do a lot of fighting in that one day.
Yeah. But at their worst, Alex, I don't think that they're as bad as River Phoenix in this movie. Ethan Hawke.
I was going to say, to cut him a little bit of slack is I would probably be hitting the sauce really hard too if I was about to get shipped off to almost certain death.
But he doesn't know it, right? Or is that a front? Is he just underselling the danger of going to Vietnam?
Again, we get into prickly territory because I certainly don't want to speak from folks at the time, but there always is like that ranging there was just a huge range on levels of knowledge as to what was going on there, and just shipping dudes off to go, put a rifle in their hand, as Bruce Springsteen would say, and go at it. So maybe he's being truthful. Still, if I had to take a fucking cross-country flight, I'd be getting sauce because I'd want to sleep through it. So anyway, that's as much slack as I'll cut him here, which, by the way, another Tommy Pickles line in this movie that I will use somewhere in history that I thought was absolutely fantastic is the Burzin. It's like, give me some slack. She says, if you want slack, you'll find it in the dictionary between shit and syphilis. I was like, hell yeah, tell him, girl. I thought that was marvelous. After dinner, the two walk to a club where Rose hopes to perform soon, and then to an arcade. So he gets to hear her sing at this club, by the way. That's what Julio referenced a few minutes ago. Birdlace is surprised to find himself enjoying spending time with Rose, so much so that he forgets that he was to have met up with his three buddies at a tattoo parlor. Rose tells Birdlace about her dream of becoming a folk singer, and he reveals to her that he will be shipping off to Okinawa the following day, and from there on to, quote, a little country called Vietnam. She offers to write him and asks if he will write her back. Birdlace walks Rose home, and she hesitantly invites him in. They attempt to talk, but end up having a self-conscious yet tender sexual encounter.
I have had it with the self-conscious and tender sexual encounters in movies. They just feel so staged. I understand this was the 90s, so maybe this was kind of groundbreaking with the specifically. I mean, we'll get to sexual encounter, but when they have their first kiss, they're at that. What is it? It's like a novelty store.
It's like a Nickelodeon.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Ryan O'Neal is like doing laps somewhere in there. But he gets all the music playing at the same time, and then he keeps trying to go in for the kiss, but of course I don't know, he's pretty young. I don't think it's entirely impossible that he is a virgin. Do you think that he's a virgin or not?
The way he's reacting would indicate that that's very likely.
Okay. That's what I thought. I was like, come on, Rare Phoenix, you're too good of an actor to not be playing this as if, this has to be intentional. He just doesn't know how to go for the kiss. And she probably is too. And so I understand that maybe it's kind of realistic to have them just kind of like bumping their faces before they even kiss. But it's just awkward. I don't need to see it. I'm watching a movie. Just give me the Hollywood kiss. And I don't need the kiss from the bodyguard, but I need just a kiss because we know where it's going. So let's just get there and move on. But instead, it's like, 30 seconds of them trying to figure out how to kiss each other? It was just too much. And then it gets worse once they actually go to her place and, they're going to have sex because she brings out the bingo. And I was like, come on. Nobody's there for bingo, musical or not. We're not going to do this. Alex, you mentioned Brendan Fraser. Let's not skip past this memorable appearance here in this movie, the highlight of the movie. Did you know that he was in the movie?
I did, just from Googling it, because in the cast, he's one of the first people that comes up, even though he's literally billed as Sailor Number 1. And he walks up and he has a line. He has like one or two lines and then gets into a fight. He's billed as Brendan Fraser in this movie, spelled Bredon. This is his film debut, apparently.
Look at that.
But there is no mistaking who it is.
It's, his voice. I saw him, I was like, that's Brendan Fraser. And then he spoke. I'm like, that is Brendan Fraser.
That's Rick O'Connell. I recognize that face and voice combo anywhere.
Yeah, he's great. It was kind of distracting because once I figured out, all right, we're doing the Before trilogy love story here with River Phoenix and Lili Taylor. It was distracting every time we cut back to his buddies who go on a completely different set of adventures that have nothing to do with what he's doing with Lili Taylor. I was like, this feels disjointed. These dudes are going to get tattoos. They go to a porno theater. They get a serial blowjob.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Yeah, let's talk about them real quick, Julio. So they do go. They get to fight together. They go to a tattoo parlor. All get bees tattooed on them, and then Burzin sees Birdlace out with Rose and just sees it through the window and makes a point to not have the other fellas see and, kind of just calls their attention elsewhere. What do you make of that? That he just knows they're such pieces of shit that he wants to do something good and like let him have a night to himself?
Where's fucking Birdlace? It's his turn. Very soon.
I tell you what, if Birdlace doesn't show up, I'm gonna get his for him.
I was hoping that the movie would tell me. Or they would confirm it, because when you see it happen in the movie, there's a number of possibilities, right? Is it that, oh, he's saving this information so that he can use it later to have leverage on him? He knows that.
Oh yeah, I thought initially he was gonna somehow make some plan to like ambush him and embarrass him further.
That's another option, because this is the thing that didn't happen that I thought was going to happen, which was that eventually they were going to run into each other again. Like River Phoenix and Lili Taylor were going to be out there having fun, and they're going to run into his Marine buddies. And then he was going to have to choose between the Marines and Lili Taylor, right? They were going to make fun of her, and then he was going to have to stand up for her or not. And I'm like, that's going to be the climax. But out of all this movie hits all the formulaic steps, and it doesn't get there. They never cross paths again, Lili Taylor and these Marines that had humiliated her earlier. So River Phoenix doesn't have to make that choice. But you're right. I mean, that was a way that could have happened, right? Like he's like, oh, he's out there with them. After we get our tattoos, we're going to go and ambush them. Or he could be a good friend. He sees River Phoenix and notices that he's happy. And he's like, all right, I'm going to let him have this night. And then I'm just going to hang out with these two idiots. I was like, okay, it could be any of those things. It could be interesting. Let's see how it pans out. And then this dude, like jumping all the way to the end, or almost to the end, he has kind of a monologue about, bullshit, the bullshit in America. And I think that monologue is supposed to explain his behavior in the movie, but I don't think it does. I think it's just, I always reference the Peter Boyle monologue in Taxi Driver, which is just like 5 minutes of nonsense. It's kind of like this. Was that supposed to give me an insight? Because, I watched the entire movie and I couldn't tell you why he did it. Is it supposed to be a mystery?
I was waiting for you to tell me, dude.
I don't know. We should ask the director, because I checked her IMDb page. She's still active. I don't know if she remembers. If she wants to talk about her early movies, they were like, hey, what was the deal with, what's his name? Berzo?
Brenzen?
Was he an asshole?
Berzin, that's it.
Berzin. Anyway, whether he was an asshole or not, Alex, we got to talk about this porn theater scene.
We do.
At first, I thought that, I think it's Oki.
Yes, dear. Anthony Clark.
That's him. Okay.
Yes.
Anthony Clark. Could you tell at first that somebody was blowing him? Or did you think, like I did, that he was jerking off?
Oh, yeah. I thought he was cranking Rod, but he was definitely he was being pleasured in some capacity. And then, he completes and a head rises up from behind the row of movie theater seats, blowing a bubble, no less. And thought that was a nice touch. And then he just moves out of the way, and this gal moves on to
Barry from Friends.
The fellow from My Cousin Vinny. I don't know about that. Not judging or king shaming anyone. I just don't know if Julio, you and I were sitting that close to each other. I don't know if I could get hard. I'd just be like,
you know what the difference is, Alex? We're not Marines.
Well, yes, that's true. That is very true. I do not have the mental makeup of a Marine.
I think that once you're you go through the training and you just get into the mindset of you could die at any point when you're deployed.
You can just get hard whenever.
Exactly. You got to make the most out of every erection. And if it has to be next to your buddies, then so be it. It's memorable. I mean, I think that there are very few things that I will remember about this movie, but that scene is definitely one of them. Brendan Fraser getting into a fight would be another one. So, I mean, we're like 2/3 into the movie, maybe even closer to the end. And were you buying into the love story? Because I think that that's what it boils down to for me when I realized this is where we're headed. I'm supposed to be invested in this love story because that's obviously what the story is going to be. It's this guy who met this girl, initially wanted to make fun of her, eventually through the course of the night learns to appreciate her, maybe even falls for her, and then they have meaningful sexual intimacy. it's kind of difficult to buy into it because I thought that they're both good actors, but they don't have chemistry. And I don't know if it's just that his character was so mean to her at the beginning that I just couldn't buy into anything that had to do with sexuality between them later on. Or is it just that they're two good actors that don't have chemistry? I mean, I don't know. What do you think?
I bought into the idea of like a one night stand. It wasn't like a one night stand, but like a one night romance. I bought into these two folks really. More so him just clinging on to any sort of like human contact and emotional connection for one night. But yeah, at no point was I ever kidding myself that they're going to end up together. You know, at this point in the movie, what I started having visions of Doris in The Master, where he comes back trying to find her and it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? She moved on. And there's a whole other layer to that, Julio, because I don't know if you know this, Joaquin Phoenix is River Phoenix's brother.
I knew that subconsciously, but
I just
once
blow
you
your
said
mind?
it out loud, it just hit me like they were hitting those guacamole.
The whack-a-moles?
Yeah, they look like turds.
Whack-a-moles? I like that more. You've never played whack-a-mole?
Not like in real life. Like I'm sure I played like versions in video games and whatever, and they always look like a little nicer, a little more cartoony.
Yeah, no, that's a real thing. That was like Chuck E. Cheese as a kid, like arcades as a kid. It was a little fucking mole that was just like wood, and it was just sculpted and painted brown. And usually the arcades I went to, they'd be kind of worn, the paint would be worn off a little bit. But yeah, you just hit the shit out of them. It's really, Rose has the right idea here that it's a really good stress release. And now kids just play fucking Roblox and, you know, don't know how to write a check. But, you know, back in my day.
Minecraft.
Oh, yes, of course. Anyway, Julio, to answer your question, I don't know if I bought it the way the movie was asking me to.
Definitely didn't buy it the way that Lili Taylor seems to buy it.
Sadly not. As he's leaving at dawn, Rose gives him her address and asks him to write. Birdlace meets up with his buddies as they board their bus. Birdlace makes up a story about not showing up because he spent the night with a beautiful wife of an officer. Burzin later shares with Birdlace that he saw him with Rose. Birdlace counters that he is aware Marcy was actually a prostitute. They agree to keep one another's secrets as Birdlace tears up Rose's address and throws it out the window of the bus. That was surprising. That was the most surprising part of the movie for me. He's in the middle of telling a joke and he starts, you know, it's not the focus of the shot, but you see him tearing up a piece of paper. It's like, is that fucking Rose's address? And then it shows him throwing it out the window. But yeah, this is the speech you were referencing earlier, Julio, about everything has a little bullshit to it. Everyone bullshits. And it all just, he basically explains trickle-down economics, but in the form of bullshit.
Yes. Which trickle down.
For the record, trickle-down economics are bullshit.
Yes. It's not money that trickles down. It's bullshit.
Yes.
We buy what the Corps hands out, and that's what makes us Marines. And the Corps is buying all the bullshit from President Kennedy, and President Kennedy's buying all the bullshit from everybody in the U.S. of fucking A.
Right.
And that's what makes us Americans.
He name checks Kennedy a few times, which I should have seen as foreshadowing of sorts, but I didn't. So no, for me, the real surprise was after this scene. But in this moment, yeah, I was trying to, I rewinded, Alex. I was like, maybe I just misunderstood. I missed like a couple lines or something. And this has to make sense in a way. This has to explain the movie to me. But it doesn't. I don't get what unless the point is just that, oh, this is just a kid that's too young to know anything. And so his version of wisdom is just this nonsense speech that doesn't really explain any of his actions. Because in the end, it just boils down to, or at least it seems to me, it boils down to, well, nothing matters, right? It's all bullshit. That's what America is. That's what, everybody peddles everybody else's bullshit. And so what does it matter who you slept with? What does it matter if you did this thing, but you're telling me the other thing? None of it matters, which is a very nihilistic way to end your movie when you're trying to sell it to me as a love story and a coming of age story. I mean, I don't know. There might be people that are just spray painting anarchy symbols on, their street, and they're like, "Fuck yeah!" Remember that movie from 1991 that was like, "Oh, you thought that you were watching a love story, but you really were watching a story about these Marines admitting to themselves that nothing matters. It's like, man, I don't know that I want to watch that. I know, it's a bummer. And I think, especially because of the way that the movie ends, I think that we would have benefited from a slight tweak, Alex. Look, I'm going to pitch it to you.
Uh-oh.
We know that he has the phone number. And he's telling his joke, and we see him pull it out, and this time we get a close-up, so we know what's happening. And maybe, he's kind of like messing with it, but then at the end, we see him put it back in his pocket. And that's the last thing we see, before he ships out. I was like, all right, well, that leaves me with a much nicer opinion of the River Phoenix character.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't mean that he's going to write to her. And in fact, maybe when we see their interaction at the end of the reunion, we can maybe gather that he never wrote anyway. But that, that way you don't leave thinking, man, he's such an asshole. Like, why did I waste 90 minutes with him when he is just right at the beginning? This is the same guy that started the movie, Or okay, maybe they're getting off the bus and we see that, he puts the thing in his pocket, but he doesn't really get into his pocket, and instead it gets left behind.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, okay, well, it was an accident. I just don't like, it is not that I have a problem with him being an asshole. I just have a problem with him being an asshole and then the movie trying to sell him to me like a person that I should like. So I was Team Rose. I was like, that girl deserves better. And then when he does this, I'm like, fuck him. I don't care.
The next day, Rose weeps and watches coverage of President Kennedy's assassination on TV with her mother. Later, in 1966, so we've moved ahead 3 years.
So wait, Alex, when that was the Kennedy assassination, did it all just click for you? Was it like the ending of The Usual Suspects?
Of course. It was the ending of Remember Me, where it pans out and he's at the top floor of the World Trade Center.
I thought that was the end of the movie, honestly. First I thought it was going to end with the bus leaves, right? We see the bus drive off. We know that he's throwing away the piece of paper, and then they cut to Lili Taylor sitting on the floor with her guitar, and she seems like, oh, she's thinking about him and probably already waiting for his first letter. And then I thought fade to black, and then we leave the movie. Sad, but that's a good ending point. But then we hit like the JFK announcement, and I thought, okay, so now we're gonna hit the end credits. The movie's over. And I was thinking, I wrote it, Alex. JFK will not return in Dogfight Endgame.
Well played.
But yeah, no, this movie keeps going. This must have been driving you crazy. You're always eager for things to wrap up.
Yeah, but I'm going to be honest. If it was a movie that talked about guys going to battle in Vietnam, I wanted to see a little bit of battle. And a little bit of battle we get.
What's this shit?
Let's just play. Y'all want to hear a joke?
What are you trying to pull here? You think I'm stupid?
Don't tell the fucking joke.
It's in 66. Birdlace and his 3 friends have been deployed to Chulai, South Korea. While playing cards, they are suddenly hit with a mortar. Chaos ensues, during which Birdlace is wounded in the leg. We know immediately Barry from Friends dies, and then the other 2 are dragging him off. A year later, so this now is 67, so this is 4 years after our initial encounter, Birdlace gets off a Greyhound bus in San Francisco, discharged from the Marines. He now walks with a limp and is suggested that his 3 friends were killed in combat. He walks to the neighborhood where Rose's coffee shop is and goes to the bar across the street, where the bartender tells him that Rose's mother has turned the coffee shop over to Rose. Birdlace makes his way across the street and into the coffee shop. Rose, not having heard from him in 3 years, is surprised to see him and can only say hi. She goes over to hug him and they embrace. I don't know if she hugs him as much as she just understands he's just like a shell of a man and needs, I think she just reads it all in that one moment. She obviously does hug him, but I think she just sees what he needs, and that's another human showing him affection.
I mean, those dudes at the bar,
yeah,
give him the drink for free.
The bartender is like, Vietnam? He goes, yeah. And he just goes, bummer. And then like knocks on the bar and walks away.
I thought that he had taken his drink away.
That would have been great. But, that's one of the things about that war that lives in such infamy, is just the different reception it got, which was different up till that point of anything in time, because obviously every war that's happened since then is divisive reaction. But just the way the bar owner, who tells him not to charge him from him, he just kind of, when he finds out he was in Vietnam, he just kind of looks at him not with reverence, but just kind of pity,
Yeah. Were you disappointed that when the dude shows off his tattoo, it was not bees? Because I thought that he says, I have one and it dances. I thought he meant I have a bee tattoo that dances.
That thought didn't cross my mind, Julio, but I'm sorry. I'm sorry for you. You had to live with that disappointment.
Well, now you do too, because don't tell me that you would not prefer to see a sexy bee dancing in that man's belly.
Fair play.
I didn't need this epilogue. I'm sorry. I really wish they hadn't tried to recreate Vietnam for like 5 minutes or however long, because it really looks like what it was. They clearly didn't have the budget to actually give you a believable Vietnam recreation. Like, this is not, again, going back to Forrest Gump, like, it's not like Lieutenant Dan and his platoon are there. It's like literally these 4 dudes sitting around in a circle. That's it. There's nobody else, nothing else. And then, shaky cam when the bomb arrives, when the bomb hits. And I commend the independent filmmaking spirit of it. But man, that it just sticks out like Barry does with the Marines. It just sticks out. It's like, oh, this looks really fake. Like everything else looked like, oh yeah, that's San Francisco in the 60s. But that just, I don't know, looked like they got the 4 Marines, they sat them in a circle in someone's yard, and then they're like, now shake the cam. I didn't like it. And then, I mean, I'm sorry. I know he went through a lot, but he was still a shithead to Lili Taylor, so I would have liked an apology, like a real apology before she
cuts
hugged
off,
him.
Julio. We don't know what happens.
Oh, maybe she just hugs him and she's like, all right, you can go now.
Yeah, right when the credits cut is when like her husband and 3 kids were running in.
Who's this guy?
He's just a very confused man that wandered in off the streets.
That's like, she should have like hugged him and then look at him and like, do I know you?
Thank you for your service. Now get out.
Yes.
But to your point, this ending is as good as it could have been if they were going to show them reconnecting, because it isn't like she's like, I love you or anything like that. Man,
yeah, I would hope so. How long do you think how long did it go before she decided, okay, I'm not getting any letters from him?
God, I don't know. That's so sad. What a dickhead.
That's what I'm telling you.
I know. I'm agreeing with you.
Like, fuck this movie. I'm not going to buy into this bullshit bittersweet ending. It's a sad ending. Let Lili Taylor move on. He even, like, I thought, okay, here comes a moment of redemption, because the dudes at the bar low-key start talking shit about Lili Taylor. Like, oh, yeah, she's not that pretty or whatever. And I thought then he was going to step in and like, excuse me, that's my woman you're talking about. But no, he just looks out the window.
Real pensively.
Yeah, it's like, I get it. You were at the war.
Welcome back.
But that was Dogfight, Alex.
That was a dogfight. Yes.
No dogs were injured in the making of this movie.
No.
My wife, she asked me what I was watching, and I said, oh, it's this movie called Dogfight. I don't know anything about it. And she said, that sounds like an awful movie. And I told her, I don't think there's going to be actual dogfighting in it. It's probably, it probably means something else. But I am glad that she didn't sit down to watch it with me, because she probably would have been repulsed by the first 30 minutes of the movie. Probably even worse than if there had been actual dogfights going on. So she dodged a bullet. I dodged a bullet.
Birdlace did not dodge a bullet.
Yeah. But that's it. That was Dogfight. You ready for real talk?
Let's move it along.